Good evening and welcome to the Barber Shop. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. You are watching WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. How y'all doing? I feel like it's been forever, CC. When was the last time we had a show? I'm going to quickly, if I can, oh, there it is. It's right there. I'm going to see if I can just share this. How do I share this? I'm always doing this where I'm like sharing it and then it's not shared properly and then everyone is watching me do it and I don't do it right. Let's see what we got. Okay, here it is. So let's share it to a group, share it to some groups, and we'll share it here, share it here, we'll 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 share it, we will share it, and let's see what else. That seems to be enough, right? I don't want to share it too much because then y'all get real mad at me and then I get in trouble and then you know how that goes. All right, cool. I'm going to share it with my people. Let's see. Watch me live right now, exclamation point. See, now you see how I do. Super excited to chat with you. I feel like CC, it's been forever. If you don't know who I'm referencing, I'm talking about CC down below on the ones and twos, making sure the show is on track. I feel like if I can recall, I had to cancel for personal reasons, and then CC was moving her studio, so she canceled last time. So it's been a while. It's been a while between shows. A little bit about what's going on with me of late. Kind of, a lot going on. I'm gonna say some unfortunate things. COVID and the pandemic have really put my magazine business in a bit of a tight spot. And that said, we've been forced to just slow down production on some of our magazines while I create some GoFundMes and look for investors. I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. I think pivoting is a good thing. It doesn't mean we're not going to be in print. I'm always going to be in print. I think printing our magazine is really important. But I think we need to really, really take a look at the print process, the advertising process, that kind of stuff. I'm meeting with one of my sales reps this week, which I'm really excited about. She's a sweetheart. She's amazing. And I can't tell you who's going to be on the cover of one of our magazines, but I'm personally very excited to meet them. It should be fun. It should be exciting. We'll see if it goes through. I'm not gonna give it bad juju. A couple of other things personally been going on with me. I am in the process, knock on wood, fingers crossed, sending it up. Hopefully buying a house in the next couple of weeks, should be closing. Really exciting. So that's what's going on with me. As always, or as usually, I should say, I would like you to say a quick prayer for someone who was a big part of my life who is not doing so well. She's been updating her GoFundMe page less and less, which means probably she's doing better, and I think that's great. I had to stop donating for a couple of weeks because I'm trying to buy this house and I need all the money in my bank account that I can, but I'll continue to donate when I can after that. That said, how y'all doing? Is everyone doing okay? Remember that you can comment. Remember you can chat with us. Remember that we're here to chat. Today we're going to talk about, do you need to play the game? Do you have to play this dating game? And when I refer to the game, what I'm talking about is this communication back and forth, the stalling, not letting someone know that you're super interested, not being available, not showing your true emotions. That's what I consider the game. Now, there are other parts of the game that I think I've seen all over, whether it be, do you like my new glasses, by the way? What do you think? Whether it be the dating apps, right? And what they say and what other people say, it's really interesting. A couple of the apps I've been on have said it's a numbers game. Keep swiping. Keep getting more people. Really? 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 My life partner, the person, I'll say woman because I want to spend my life with a woman. The woman I want to spend my life with, it's a numbers game. That's like saying your career is a numbers game. Keep applying to those fast food restaurants when you have like a PhD, right? No, it's not a numbers game. It's not a game at all. We are, in my opinion, in a place where we need to find the right fit, right? And fit is actually, for those who don't know, I have my PhD in org psych. So we talk a lot about fit in organizations, but fit is quantifiable. Fit is scientific, okay? Fit is an art as well. Fit is not a numbers game. And in my opinion, it's not something that is played. And we're going to talk a bit about why that is. Now, usually by the end of the show, I tend to backtrack and say, well, maybe it depends. I'm going to bet you a soda, diet soda. I don't have sugar. I'm going to bet you a diet soda that I'm not going to change my mind about this one today. That is my bet. If you want to take that bet, you put yourself in the comments. You let me know you're taking that bet, and I will be as honest as possible. I won't try to win the soda. I will try to be honest. Okay, so we're talking about, do you have to play the game? Now, I always like to start off our show after we talk about sending some prayers to some folks. I like to start our show with a movie, television show, song, whatever, a reference about playing the game. And I was torn between He's Just Not That Into You with Drew Barrymore. Lori says, hey, Chris, I agree the compatibility matters most. Yep, so Lori will not take the soda bet. Thank you for sharing. So I was torn between He's Just Not That Into You with Drew Barrymore, where she says it was just at the beginning of when social media was starting to really make it big. And she said, I've got to check my MySpace, I've got to check my email, I've got to check my text message, all to be rejected by the same person, right? So that to me is like playing the game. And then the movie that I decided to go with was Hitch. And hold on, I need to plug my laptop back in. There we go. So the other movie that I decided to go with was Hitch. Hitch is, if you haven't seen Hitch is about it's Will Smith, and you know that I'm going to give you some spoilers. I always do. Will Smith and come on, what's the guy's name? Kevin James. And Kevin James is trying to get Alexa, whatever her name is in the movie. I don't remember, but it's what am I doing? We have Google. It's, what's her name? It is, why can't I think of her name right now? We'll look it up. Hold on. It is, seriously, where? Or Alexa Cole, and she's played by Amber Valletta. She looks a lot like the one from The Mask. I can't remember. And there's Eva Mendes that's thrown in there. She's trying to date, her and Will Smith are dating. This movie, in my opinion, is like the epitome of playing the game, right? There are two guys trying to really get to know two different women. And I'm not blaming the women, I'm not blaming the guy, I'm not blaming anybody. Don't hate the player, hate the game, right? I'm hating the game. In this particular movie, we'll start with Kevin James. So Hitch's job, right? Will Smith's job. His job is to get folks to kind of give them an unfair advantage, right? Folks who wouldn't be in the game, right? He gets them to kind of be on the court through circumstances, through scripting them a little bit. It's like scripting a business plan competition, right? Like you're going to put yourself in a situation where you can win. And these are guys, and here's the first part I hate about this movie. It's, guys who shouldn't even be on the court, right? Shouldn't even be in the game. And you have this guy who's big guy, Kevin James, fat guy. And then you've got this Amber Valletta who's a very thin, fit woman. And, you can play that the other way too, right? Plus size woman, fit guy, her not being on the court. And this just bothers the heck out of me because honestly, other than his size, why, what makes him not desirable, right? I mean, okay, so he's an accountant and she's like a hotel mogul or something like that. I've seen that happen a lot. You see women of power date men who are not that powerful, right? As long as he's a professional and he's got things going for him, and I've seen it the other way too. So that ticks me off right off the bat. But Will Smith puts him in these precarious situations, and it's funny, and it's a comedy, and whatever, and he helps script him a little bit, and all the while he's telling, pull back a little bit, don't play this, do that, right, blah 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 blah, and all the while he's having trouble dating Eva Mendes, who every time he makes a move, right, he seems to push her away. But what he doesn't realize is it's his genuineness that she falls for. It's not his scripting. It's not the game that he's playing. It's his genuine kindness and his heart that are allowing him entree to this beautiful person, right? And so I think by the end of the movie that seems to be clear. It's funny, we get it, but I think that's the message is to just be yourself. Now, how does this relate to, what's going on in our world? Well, I want to tell you a couple of personal stories, and then, at the break, we're going to talk about, I've got some articles pulled up. I struggle so much with this topic. I have recently come to the conclusion that I am not extremely happy with my dating situation. I'm alone, and folks that I'm interested in are a world away. They're different parts of the country. And so it's a challenge for me, and maybe that's part of my avoidant personality. But it's a challenge for me to really find that mate who is really going to, to make me happy. And so, I've been in situations where I've gone on the dating apps and whatever. And here's what I've found. I'll tell you a couple circumstances. I find that there's this leverage game. There's this game of vulnerability. I think men play it. I think women play it. I think trans people play it. I think people of color play it. I think white people play it. I think people who are young play it. I think people who are older play it. I don't care who you are. I think everyone plays it. We are in this odd place in the world of dating where, because there's no loyalty to the individual, to the partnership, we find ourselves consistently and constantly concerned with how we are perceived and how much we are giving versus how much we are getting back, receiving. I find that many folks want to play that game of leverage where they let their insecurity dictate their course of action. And what happens is you wind up pushing someone away with arrogance. You wind up pushing someone away with, other just avoidance, right? When you could be pulling that person closer and nearing a true partnership. Now, this goes back to a couple of books I've read on growth mindset versus fixed mindset, right? So Kimmy says, absolutely agree, Chris. Thank you, Kimmy. I appreciate that. This goes back to growth mindset versus fixed mindset, right? Somebody who's got a fixed mindset will say, this is who I am. This is what I know. I'm pretty damn good, because most people who have fixed mindset are also delusional. and I'm not changing. I'm not going to get any better. I'm great. I'm perfect, or whatever, and I don't have much to learn. The problem with any of that is all of it. You're not perfect. You're probably not great. I mean, you're great because you're a great person, but you're not great at everything. I can't tell you how many people I talk to who are like, "Oh, I'm mental level intelligence. I'm photographic memory." Hey, we can't all have photographic memory. Or people are like, "Well, I could have played basketball in college. I just didn't want to." Yeah, that means you can't. Okay. Growth mindset says, "I don't know if I can do that. I don't really know, but I'm going to find out. I'm going to learn. Bet you I can't. Let's see what happens." Right? That's what growth mindset says. For example, I love mixed martial arts. One of my favorite activities. As I'm getting older, I'm getting worse. I'm slower. I'm bigger, which means I'm gonna move my arms and my legs with more force. Now, when I do land, watch out because I'm pretty good. I'm pretty lethal, but it's hard. I'm not going to tell people I'm the best. If somebody were to say to me, "Go fight right now," I'd think about it and I'd say, "Okay, let me try it." Because I fight. I just don't fight in the ring. I don't fight professionally or even at the amateur level. Folks who have a fixed mindset are, and usually they're not aware of this because they haven't read about this, but they think they're wonderful and they're not willing to find out if they truly are. And they're not willing to put themselves out there to see what happens. This is what I find to be true in a lot of these beginning relationships. And let's be real. When I say beginning relationships, I'm in my 30s at this point. Anywhere from your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s. Now, I'm not going to be able to. I don't really date that up that much higher in age, but in 50s and 60s. But I'm willing to bet it's very similar. The beginning of the relationship is unfortunately all we're getting of late. It's true. I mean, it's very rare that these relationships are lasting much longer. And the reason is because we're not allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, because we think that by doing that, by not allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, we are saying, "Well, I could have had them, but I didn't want it. So I pulled myself away, and that's the reason that it didn't work out." The reason it didn't work out is because you're a scared little wimp. You didn't allow yourself to tell someone, "This is what I want to do. This is who I am, and I want to share this with you." And that's where I'm staying, right? That's what I think. We'll talk a bit about some of the research, and we'll talk a bit about my favorite book, Attached, that I just finished reading about effective communication. So, and I haven't even gotten into my specific examples, but here's a couple of things before we hit the break. I found a few things to be true in the dating world. One is effective communication is really challenging in that when you are effectively communicating, I tend to find the beginning partner, the partner you're starting to talk to, they start to pull back. They don't really understand you and why you're communicating the way they're communicating. It scares them. They start giving one-word responses, or they start to respond in a way that's avoidant, right? There's a pattern there, because when they do come back and respond to you, you've probably moved on, because we're in this world of completely disposable people. You're probably talking to somebody else, right? I had a situation. I did this before I met my ex-fiance. I did this, and I've done this more recently in my life. Downloaded like 5 dating apps. Okay, I even paid for some. Matched as much as I could. Not the numbers game, sir. Whoever is designing those little screens. No, I matched with as many people as I thought could be viable candidates to be with. Now, when I was younger, before I met my ex-fiance, I I don't know if I said this or not, but what wound up happening was I wound up scheduling like 5 dates in a month, and it was like the least challenging time in my like the potential partners I had chosen. I don't think I chose well. They were inviting themselves over, not wanting to go out to dinner, which is not terrible, but okay. And so aggressive intimately. I was turned off. And I'm not easily, I'm not easily turned off, but that would turn me off, right? So that's when I met my ex-fiance and moved in, that scenario. More recently, I've done that too, where I downloaded a couple of dating apps and matched with as many folks as I could. I find that people are less excited to get to know you and more excited to have you in their inbox. It's the option of you. It's the option that they have. Now, I'll go into that in a little bit. We're at 21 minutes on the hour. We take a break at this moment. If you've never watched the show before, just to tell you what we do, this is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, by the way. We are taking a brief break so that CC can spin some advertisements. Sometimes she puts them right in here. Sometimes she plays them with when she's on iHeartRadio or Spotify or whatever else. So we're going to take a quick break. You're going to see me silent for a moment. Don't sweat it. I'll be back in a second. I'll tell you after the break what I've seen with regard to these dating apps and people being avoidance with regard to their communication styles. This is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host of the Barber Shop, Dr. Christopher Salute. Tonight we are talking about, do you have to play the game? And so far, you know what my answer is. We'll be back in a second. And we're back. Cece, I love those commercials. So cute. Very, very cute. You're watching The Barber Shop. This is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. And tonight we're talking about, should you be playing the game? Just before the break, we were talking about kind of what I was experiencing a couple of years ago on dating apps. I'll tell you what I've experienced more recently in my life. And I'll tell you how. Wait, real quick before. I think the short list of rules are: no one is perfect. We all change and grow through time. We don't know what we don't know. We have an experience. In the very beginning, talk about deal breakers, the direction you're going, and what expectations are. They don't align. Don't continue to pursue. Attach yourself to someone with different ideals. At your age, you need to know yourself and your love language. Communicate all these things, and everything else is looks like it got cut off. But yes, Lori. Lori and I think, talked for a couple of weeks. We were supposed to go on a date at one point, and I think we had some deal breakers, so that's probably why. So I'm going to talk about a couple of those best practices. Here's a couple of things I've noticed. I've noticed that both men and women, doesn't matter who you are, one-word answers, staying super busy. I've noticed that here's something I've noticed, and I've started to ask people about it. I've seen more and more how do I say this the right way? And I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not. Aggressive profiles from women, meaning that I will not do this, I will not do that, don't do this, don't do that. And believe me, the things that they're asking for are pretty reasonable. But the level of aggression, the level of almost, because the caps, right? I'm talking about the caps. The level of I don't want to say anger. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying. They're already pre-prompted to be ready to defend themselves. This tells me men are terrible. I am so tempted to create a profile of a female catfish. And I'm not doing that, folks, but I'm tempted. I want to see it. I want to see how bad it is. I don't think I can imagine how bad it is. Now, I've run several plus size female magazines, and there's been times where I have to manage our social media accounts because I don't have somebody to do it. I've seen a lot of bad stuff, right? My favorite. I own magazines, right? Not personal accounts. My favorite is somebody messages me and they go, "Baby, you're so sexy. Baby, you're so hot." I've just posted 5 pictures of 5 different women on from our magazine. Who is it you think you're talking to? Do you just look at every fat person and think we're the same? Right? I say we is because I fluctuate in size, but I don't. I identify as fat, but most people wouldn't call me fat. They'd probably call me average or built. Do you think every fat woman is the same then? Right? It's terrible. So I can only imagine how bad it is on dating apps, right? And people tell me, between the pics, the pics I'm talking about, the what you doing, the come over, the all this stuff. I don't need or want praise for like holding somebody's door open, but I can only imagine the level of defensiveness the women need to feel when I'm around them because I'm a man. Honest, and I say that honestly. I am so worried about how I'll be perceived if I make a joke. I'll make a joke about something funny that maybe hints at intimacy. My body is a prize. I'm not trying to give it away in the first, second, or third date, and that's the truth. Okay. Now, sometimes things happen because I am not as. I don't know if I don't always do what I say because heat of the moment, but it's the truth. So I'll make a joke about intimacy, thinking it's funny, and I could feel the discomfort because of how men speak to women. So I could see that level of avoidance. But I also think there is this true game playing kind of a thing where both women and men are just trying to play the fields and communicate with as many folks as possible to keep the amount of options that they have. Now, I've done this too. One of my exes was not a great communicator. The reason that we stayed together is because I was enamored by her. She was a big name and she was very pretty. And I had looked at her on screen for a while. And so when I was able to land a date with her, I didn't really care that she made me feel like complete and utter trash garbage. All I cared about was the feeling, the status that I felt she gave me, which she didn't because she wasn't that big of a star. And the fantasy and the illusion that was created in my wanting her for so long. It took me a long time to figure that out. So when she didn't communicate with me, what I actually did was in the beginning, because we weren't exclusive yet, I downloaded a dating app. And I started speaking to other people. Maybe went on a date. I don't think I did actually. But it got my anxiety level down to an acceptable level because she wasn't answering me for a day at a time. Was it the right thing to do? It wasn't. Because on the other side, somebody thinks that they have an actual shot at dating you. And maybe I did too. I never executed it. Here, in my older years, if somebody doesn't get back to me, I do one of two things. One, I go back to work because there's always something to do. Two is I may ask them what their preferred type of communication is, if it's someone I'm into. If it's someone I'm into and they say, I'm not a great texter, I would rather speak to you by phone this evening. Okay. I hate the phone because if I'm on the phone, I can't do 5 other things. But if I'm really into you, I'll do it for you. I had spoken to somebody last fall who she was more of a phone person, more of a FaceTime person. It was super attractive. It was really sexy to be on the phone with her. Didn't work out. There we were, right? So when we talk about playing this game, right, and continuing to communicate, these are the couple of things that I've noticed. I've also noticed, in general, people, and again, I only know what I've been told about men and what I experience with women. So you're not talking to an expert. You're talking to a bias, right? I find that the one-word answers, and I find that the other, forms of this like leverage are there so that you start the chase, right? That's one thing I find. The other thing that I found is people get way affectionate way quickly. People talk about cuddles and coming over and being physically intimate. I recently posted on my Instagram account. I'm not sure why, but I get nudes and lewds sent to me on a consistent basis, not just on my social media, because I get that I'm kind of a public guy, but on social media apps when they'll say, "Oh, can I have your Snapchat?" Okay, here's my Snapchat. I don't really even subscribe to that. How about a number? I mean, I don't know. Snapchat to me is like for cheaters and bullies, but okay. So here's my Snapchat. And it's like within 2 days or less, I'm getting lewds and nudes. No warning. Hey baby, this is me. Whoa, hey. All right. Yeah, I mean you're certainly attractive. I'm not denying that. There's nothing wrong with your body and your face, and you're beautiful. It's great. I don't think we're there yet. I haven't met you. I don't know your favorite color. I can't pick your ice cream out from the freezer. That's important to me, because if we're gonna if we're gonna be intimate, I'm gonna have your favorite ice cream in the freezer, because that's what I like to do after being intimate, is to open up a pint of ice cream and watch a movie. So, or whatever, right? So those are the two things I'm finding. So I have some research up on the screen. I want to go through that, and then I want to talk a little bit about effective communication, because what I'm finding is that we've lost the ability to advocate for ourselves in a respectful and effective way, and we do play that game. We do. I find myself in dating situations texting my female friends and my guy friends more often than I text the person I'm trying to talk to, because I need to know if what I'm about to say is too enthusiastic, or I need to know if what I'm about to say is going to scare somebody off. I need to know if I'm going to hurt someone's feelings by asking them to communicate with me, or if I'm going to push them away, or if I'm going to seem too needy, right? When the reality is, this is me, dude. I'm 36 years old, right? I don't see myself changing drastically for my partner. Now, of course, I mean, there are things that I want to grow and I want to change, but I'm an over communicator. I like getting text messages throughout the day. Not something that's going to change, right? I also like to hear, my communication language, my love languages. Thank you, Lori. My top 2, I should probably retake the quiz. I haven't done that in a couple months, but my top 2 are words of affirmation, 1,000%. And actually, it used to be physical touch, but after what happened with the bloggers and the attacks and all that kind of stuff, physical intimacy is something that I hold not only sacred, but it's a little bit of in a weird place for me right now. So acts of service is my second one. You tell me one of the best things an ex ever did for me. We dated for a while, but this was one of the first dates we went on, second or third date. I said to them, I don't cook a lot of breakfast, and I wind up not eating very healthy breakfast, and I'm, kind of, Pop-Tart here, cereal there, whatever. I was not doing extreme low carb back then. And the next date, I kid you not, one of the sweetest, kindest, most beautiful things someone had done for me. You want to know what she did? She brings, and it's not fancy. It's not in a freaking lace bag or whatever. She brings a freezer bag. This woman brings a freezer bag of wrapped up breakfast sandwiches, 31 of them, one for each day of the month. Okay. This is a truly incredible person. And they were wrapped in such a way, I think they were in tinfoil, and then under the tinfoil was paper towel, or maybe it was saran wrap, because I don't remember if I had to take the tinfoil off to put in the microwave, or it was in saran wrap and I didn't need to take the tinfoil off. But she wrote that she labeled each one bacon, ham, sausage, whatever, because they were egg sandwiches. And she put on the bag how much time I needed to heat the darn egg sandwiches for. I mean, this is truly somebody who listens. And that was one of the kindest acts of service I had ever received. To tell you how turned on I was at that point, my heart, my mind, my loins, my soul, it was one of the most attractive things someone could ever do for me, right? So you need to know your communication language. You need to know your love language, and you need to be aware of how you give and receive love, even at the very beginning, because there are going to be differences, right? And as Lori said, finding those, I don't like the word red flags. You didn't use it, Lori, but some people do. I don't like the word red flags because it implies that the other person is a bad person because it's a red flag. They're not a bad person. They're probably just not right for you, right? If they communicate in a different way, or they jump to intimacy first, or I had somebody who they were very attractive. They were attracted to me, which thank you. And one of the big things was she didn't like somebody who smoked marijuana. Well, I live in Nevada. Okay. It's all around. Okay. Not going to, I don't do it all the time, but there's a dispensary on every corner. Okay. I don't drink. It's not a bad thing to do. Okay. I'm an advocate for it. I think it's calms your anxiety. I think it's a good thing. She didn't like it. Okay. We're not a good fit. Well, we continued to talk, and we shouldn't have. And come to find that she was very conservative. I was very liberal. So it just didn't work, right? Doesn't mean it's right. No red flag, right? Nothing bad. We didn't work out. So I said to her, we're not going to work. She said, I think you're right. And that was it. So I want to go into the research, and I want to talk about, not the research, but some of the blogs that I'm looking at. And then I want to talk about effective communication. So I Googled a couple of tips for keeping the conversation flowing when you're meeting somebody new. Now, here's what's interesting is, in this digital world, oh, wait, hold on, Lori. To be honest, phones have ruined our lives. Thank you. Let me keep reading. I find that people who exist through text aren't genuinely great in person and great communication. I have a Bluetooth and I can multitask easily. It takes effort, time, but that's relationships. Now, wait, Lori, I want to say something, because you're talking about relationships. I'm talking about dating, and there's a difference there. Because when I'm dating you, when I'm getting to know you, it's not a relationship, right? I am a busy guy. I've run a business and a university, so I only have time for texting. When I've brought you into my circle, absolutely, I will make time for you on the phone. My life coach, for example, we sometimes don't communicate great on via text, and we'll say, hey, let's get on the phone, right? My mom and my dad, hey, let's get on the phone, right? My cousin, let's get on the phone. Those are the people I bring into my phone world. If I'm just learning who you are, I'm not getting ready to bring you onto my phone, right? And I'm going to push back on multitasking when you're on the phone. Maybe you can do it. Research shows not many can. In fact, many who think they can are actually losing a lot of information when they think they're multitasking. But if you think you can, great. So let me jump into a couple of the things that some of these blogs say. So this first one, now here's what's interesting. I wanted to get into this. I was Googling this, and I only found two things. I found, as Lori says, how to communicate well in relationships. It's not what I'm looking for. And the how to communicate well on the date. No, I'm talking about leading up to the date, right? When you're playing the game, right? Which I think is stupid. They don't give you a lot of tips on that. But I'm going to move some of these pieces that I've found into this playing the game category, okay? So It's Just Lunch is the name of the first blog. 6 tips to get your first date conversation flowing. But I'm gonna move that into getting to know someone. Okay. It says read up on current events before the date. I'm gonna change that to just be aware of what's going on in the world and be cultured, right? I can't honestly say that I've hit it off when I say to somebody, "What's your hobbies?" and they list 3 Netflix shows. Can't. We're not going to get along. Now, doesn't mean you're a bad person. Somebody else is good for you. I don't watch that many Netflix shows. I don't watch TV in general. I'll pop in a movie for just background noise when I'm doing work, and I'm reading a book throughout the day. Now somebody says they like to read. Now we're talking, right? I was talking to somebody last fall who loves to read. Even if we weren't reading the same stuff, we still shared in that enjoyment, right? Ask lots of questions. Yes, keep the conversation flowing. Super important, right? I think that is something that's missing. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people and I go, "Oh, cool." I go, "What are you doing?" "I'm at work right now." "Cool. What do you do for work?" "Security guard." "Cool. What's that like?" "It's fine." "What makes it fine?" "Because I like it." Do you like? Give me anything. Ask me like anything. What's your favorite flavored Pop-Tart? I don't care. Act like you want to talk back to me, and if you don't, that's okay. Say this isn't working, right? Comment on their appearance. Goes either way. I've said to people, "You're really beautiful, you're really attractive," shuts them down a little bit. I think because of the world that we live in with guys who only want to focus on that. Be open and honest, love it. Okay? Be genuine, love it. Okay? Because what are you hiding? Like, who are you acting like? What's the point? You don't want to be this person that gets rejected. Well, guess what? You're going to act like someone else, and you're going to reject or get rejected anyway because it's not the right fit. Listen to what your date is saying, really listen, and then, so I love that, right? Really listen, and then it says laugh, and I read laugh as engage, right? Be engaged with what they're saying. Don't just move on to the next topic, right? And I say this in texting as well as if you're going to say phone conversations or FaceTime. I've done that as well, right? Snapchat, whatever. I tend to, with each conversation I'm having, I like that new reply button that they've got on the iPhone. I'm going to reply to you. I say to you, "Oh, that's awesome. What's your favorite fruit to put in a smoothie?" And you say, "Oh, blueberries." I reply, "Wow, I love blueberries. I used to really like bananas, but they're very high in sugar, and I can't have the sugar. Blueberries are actually high in fiber. It's good for me, yada, yada, yada." Now we've got a volley going on about blueberries, right? Or whatever. Okay, so that is the 6 tips from It's Just Lunch. Now, 5 do's and don'ts for first date communication. Same kind of thing. Now, they go into a little bit before the date, which I like. Okay, number 1, return text quickly. Yes, like if you're looking at your phone, it's your break. You've taken a break from work. For me, it's a break between classes, right? Return the text. What are you doing? Rapid fire return the text because you don't know if you're going to have time later in the evening, right? That's my thing. Give me the text back. If you want to meet somebody that says who's relationship ready, don't play games. The good ones won't respond well, and the wrong ones will chase you down, but only temporarily. Thank you. This blog is from levelconnections.com. I'm going to frame you and put you in the back of the office. Number 2, communicate before your date, but don't build a relationship before your date. I like that. I'm willing to bet you've lost count of how many, this is geared towards women, how many men you've texted but have never met in person. Don't confuse texting and phone calls with dating. If you haven't met, you're not dating. I agree with that. If you're interested, have a brief call. I like that. Lori says that too. Then get on the date. No need to engage in lengthy chats or weeks of back and forth texting. No one has time for this. And if you build this relationship in your mind in advance, you set yourself up for disappointment. Thank you. There is so much that we do. I'll be honest. I've talked to people for months, get them in front of me, and I don't like the way they smell. I don't like that they smoke a lot of weed. I don't like that they can't make eye contact, right? These are things that I want to know, right? They might not like the way I smell. I think I smell great, but you never know. They might not like that I tend to dominate a conversation, okay? I need to be shut up once in a while. I speak quickly. You got to shut me up, right? They may not like that, right? Ask meaningful questions. Don't interview and interrogate. That I love. So my least favorite thing, somebody says to me, "Have you been married before?" Yes, I've been married. Maybe I give them a couple of details. How long were you married for? How old were you? Why did it end? What does it matter? It ended because we thought we were so perfect for each other that we just decided to throw the marriage out the window. It ended because we didn't work out, because we were young and stupid and we made some mistakes and we didn't communicate properly. Okay? Now I'll gladly tell somebody that, but it does feel like a bit of an interrogation, right? I like relax and enjoy, be yourself. I think that's important. Share and don't tell stories, meaning don't dominate that conversation with a story, but share about yourself, have a volley back and forth, have a discussion. I love that. So these are two. So the first one was Let's Do Lunch, and the second one was levelconnections.com. I think those are two really great blogs about how to communicate both prior to and during the date. I think that's fantastic. Now, I want to jump in real quick, and I know we're getting on to the point where we should be ending. I want to talk about effective communication. So I just finished the book Attached, thanks to my life coach, and it really helped me understand who I am. I'm still not done with it because I have to record all the relationships I've been in. Yikes. I don't want to do it, and it's going to take a while. But one of the things it tells you to do is to effectively communicate when you've got a partner who communicates differently. Either they're an anxious or an avoidant, you're an anxious or an avoidant, they're secure, you're not, whatever. Now, we get into this habit where we think, well, if we communicate our needs, then we're going to push that person away. Well, if you defensively communicate your needs, yeah. If you aggressively communicate your needs, yeah. If you play the game, yeah, you're probably going to push someone away. What about if we do it effectively? What about if we say to someone, what you said earlier, I didn't quite understand it, and actually my feelings were hurt because of X, Y, and Z. Can you help me understand what you meant by that? They might come back to you and say, yeah, I told you to screw off, and that's what I meant. Okay. They may get defensive themselves, okay. Or they may say, I had no idea that's what you meant, what you were thinking. Let me clarify. You might ask somebody, hey, I know that we check in at 5 a.m. before you hit the office, and then I know that you text me at about 5 p.m. when you're done. One of my needs is that I really could use some communication throughout the day. Is that something you're able to do? No. Okay, now I know. Oh, I had no idea. I thought I was bothering you. Let me text you during the day. I have a lunch break. I really don't eat lunch because I just eat a big breakfast. I'd love to chat with you in the car. Fantastic, right? Effectively communicating does a couple of things. Number one, it allows you to self-advocate, which we desperately need to do in our lives anyway. Number two, you let the person what your needs are. You let the person know what your needs are. But number three is it uncovers the reaction. Now, if the reaction is not what you expect, it's bad, then what are you doing? Go. It's not going to get any better, right? I mean, maybe it will, but odds are probably not. You've uncovered that what you're looking for is not in their wheelhouse. It's not on their roster. It's not in their batting, what do they call it? Batting. Their lineup, right? You've uncovered it. Now, if it is in their lineup, if it's something they're able to do, if it's something they're just not practiced in or they didn't realize, you've let them know how to help you. You've let them know how to communicate with you, and you've let them know how to love you. And that is the best thing you can do to a lover, the best thing you can do for a partner, the best thing you can do for someone that you want to continue with. So anybody who bet me a soda, you lost. I didn't change my mind tonight. Do you have to play the game when you are first meeting people? The answer, in my opinion, is no. You shouldn't play the game. You shouldn't work on numbers. You shouldn't work on occupying yourself with somebody else when the person you really want to talk to is in front of you. You shouldn't have to be small and not self-advocate when there's something you want. Because what's going to happen is you're going to make yourself small, so small to the point where you fit yourself into a relationship that you don't belong in, that you're going to outgrow immediately when you get comfortable. There is no point in playing the game. There's no point in putting yourself in a situation that you don't feel comfortable in, that you don't belong in. Now, the movie Hitch was funny, right? And it worked out well for both of them, I think, because those four folks couldn't get the hell out of their own way. Now, is there an opportunity for you to teach someone and grow with them? Heck yeah. Do it all day. But do not change your MO. Do not change who you are. Do not play the game because you feel as though that's the way to land the right man or land the right woman. or trans person or non-binary. I don't care who you're trying to date. Okay? There's absolutely no point, in my opinion, in playing the game. The game needs to go. You need to be genuine. You need to advocate and effectively communicate. You need to be very careful about who you bring into your circle, and do not bring numbers into your text messages just for the sake of saying you can do it. With that, I know we're already past the 45 minutes that we usually go. I want to thank you for your time, your energy. Those of you who commented, thank you so much. My name is Dr. Christopher Salute. You have just watched The Barber Shop on WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. Thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you to Cece for keeping the show going. If you haven't thought about advertising, you see some of these great ads in the middle of our show, please do reach out to me. You definitely know my Facebook because you're probably watching it on Facebook. You definitely know me because you could Google me and find my email address. Go for it. We're here for you, but we won't be here for long if you don't spend some money and advertise. So thanks so much. And again, if you can, please do say a prayer for that special person, former special person in my life. She's still a special person in her own life who certainly does need it. And if you'd like to find the GoFundMe, please do send me a note and I'll send it over to you. Thank you so much. And that's it. Thanks for watching The Barbershop. Cut.